So here we are in quarantine, Mayank, and the world is crumbling around us. I don't know what economy means, but economy is crumbling. And I remember hearing all my life from like millionaires, billionaires, bankers, that we should all have 6 months worth of savings. So that way, if something happens, that we don't have to ask for help. You know, socialism, we can't ask for help, right? But now I'm looking at football and I'm thinking to myself, there are clubs that are not going to survive this in the lower leagues. There are Premier League clubs like Tottenham, for example, that laid off all their staff immediately because panic. And clearly they don't have 6 months worth of savings. And my thought on this is they've done it to themselves because the player wages are outrageous. The player transfer is outrageous. The players are making this much money and the groundskeeper is making this much money. And so let's lay off all the staff, but continue to pay the outrageous salaries of football players. So I'm a little bit pissed off at this situation because, like, to me, football is very, very low on priorities right now. People should be fed. People should have shelter. They should have free access to medicine and healthcare. Sports are a low thing for me. Don't bail them out because it's not a priority at all. But at the same time, we'd like to see football return a little bit healthy without having to lose like the League One teams or the Blue Square Conference teams, like all the lower league teams. Yeah. So what do you think about the whole situation with the money?
Yeah, I agree that football should not be bailed out. But one thing we have to remember is football in many countries, not in US or Canada where the two of us are, but in Spain and England, employs a lot of people. Outside of just the 11 players that most of us see on the pitch all the time. So we have to keep in mind that bringing football back will help clubs pay them. Whatever bad decision the clubs have made so far, they need to deal with it and they need to improve on it. But if we don't bring football back, the people who are employed by the club, the non-playing staff, they will continue to suffer. And I'm not for a second saying, let's bring football back right now. We should not do it until it's safe to do so. But that's one thing that we have to remember. And your point about player wages and salaries is spot on. Yeah, and I think The Athletic, who if you've not subscribed to, I would recommend. I can't recommend anything better than them right now. They did a pretty good analysis on this in terms of club revenues and player wages. And obviously, championship clubs and League One are hurting, but a lot of Premier League clubs are as well. The two that they took examples of that blew my mind were Bournemouth and Sheffield United. And keep in mind, Sheffield United just came back to the Premier League and their revenue to wages ratio is absolutely ridiculous. I think for Sheffield United, it was like 70% of the revenues go to player wages. Like, how is that sustainable? Right? So clubs need to rethink how they operate. And they need to come out of this better. And again, just talking about United, we hate on Woodward all the time. We hate on Glazers all the time. But United is in a good place right now, much more than other big clubs. Like, I think Real Madrid today announced that they won't be buying any players. They're suspending player acquisition for the next season. And you say whatever you want to about Woodward. The good thing he's done is he's brought in sponsors. And a club like United is not dependent on match their revenues as much as other clubs. So maybe others need to look at avenues like that. And I know United's reach helps Woodward to do his job much easier, but there definitely need to be changes. And we can't operate the way we have right now. I don't think we'll see many 80 million, 100 million plus transfers in the next couple of years because of this, the COVID situation.
Oh, we can only hope.
We can only hope, but I don't think we will. Most clubs won't have that kind of money. Like I said, United would. And I think a few days ago, Gary Neville and Ole did an interview in which they used words that they should not have used. They said United is in a situation to exploit the situation. I don't think that's what they wanted to say, but I think what they were trying to say is that United have the means to go and buy players much easier now because some other clubs won't be able to afford them the way United would, which is a fact.